So over to you both.
Thank you, Jason. Shakira, you're right to share your screen.
Yep.
Yeah, fab, thank you. So hi everyone. Yeah, we're going to tell you a bit about how we've come across SQL really in our careers, what we've done with it, and then what you can do with it and how you can learn from us. But first of all, I think we're going to start with a bit of fun, Shakira. I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay. So you've been sitting there listening to us for a while, so yeah, we thought we'd have a bit of fun with you and do some conundrums. So we're going to use Slido. So if you can go to slido.com and then sign in with the number 2775 4255. Quite a few people on this, so I'll give you a minute or two to log in.
We should have got some countdown music together or something, shouldn't we?
Yeah. I love conundrums, but I'm no good at them. I like to give it a go.
The funny thing is, these were tested on me and I got them wrong, so or at least I got the first one wrong. So
right, I'm in.
You in?
Just give everyone a minute to.
Yeah. Don't worry, they were. It's just a bit of fun. If you get them wrong, it's fine. I like the wrong answers. I'm not putting it on the screen yet because it's not fair to those who haven't logged in yet. Okay, right. So your first one. A belt is no use for putting your plate on or holding your data. So this is something that's used in SQL. So some of you might not have even seen SQL, so it's fine. But just have a guess at what this first bit is.
just while everyone's putting on Shakira, I think your camera might have frozen. If it has for
was
me
it?
anyway. I don't know if you want to just try turn it off and on again.
Oh,
It has for me.
not doing well. I've got somebody knocking at the door. My camera's frozen.
It's always the way. There you are.
Table. Yes. Well done. None of you have put your name, so I can't give a winner. Right, next one. If you are bad at C, save your sea legs or information here. I was just looking at that, and it's a while since I've set these up, thinking, what was that? And Jason, I think you've seen these before, so you can't be putting them in. You're cheating.
Yeah, but that assumes that I can remember.
I've memorised them just so I don't get caught out again.
Don't understand the questions. Oh, sorry, I should have explained. Not everybody maybe watches Countdown or does conundrums, but you just take the letters that are in the speech marks and then try and guess what it is. Mind blown. Yeah, most of you got it right. Database. So we'll come on to these things in a bit, what they are, but they're common terminology in SQL. And once you've had a look at SQL a few times, you'll be like, oh yeah, easy. Right, final one. They say to eat pud when you need to change something. Probably not a good thing to put at lunchtime. Oh, fast. Update. Yeah. Well done. Oh, yeah, that was it for us for the conundrums. But just thought, get you interacting a little bit. Right, switch back to slides now.
And now you already know a bit of SQL terminology as well. So there you go.
Yeah.
Easy. Okay. So, sorry if you've heard this story before, but I do think it's important to give a bit of context as to kind of where this all began for us and some of the things that we've done along the way. So I first came across SQL like 10 years ago now, and I was kind of thrown into it, really. I was using a costing system that used SQL as the basis of getting data in and out of the system. So I had to learn it on the job. So I think Shakira and I would both say we're not experts, we're self-taught. We've just made use of kind of free resources, a bit of trial and error to develop our own skills. And we're always learning. So it's great to be part of this network because we're all sharing ideas and there's things that we don't know that you guys might come across and we can share on this network and we can all learn from each other. But yeah, I've had kind of 10 years working with SQL now, and I think the reason I saw that the value in using SQL was because prior to that, I'd come from an NHS finance role where I used a lot of Excel, but in a very manual way. And we used a lot of data, and I had really slow, clunky spreadsheets and had a lot of manual work I used to have to do on data updates. And then in contrast, going to using SQL and being able to manage those big data sets really easily, and carry out steps that would have taken me possibly hours in Excel, the way I was doing it, to use that in a SQL script in seconds was a real kind of eye-opener for me. And then I learned that skill and shared it with the team at Blackpool. So we started using SQL in our income and costing teams, which we do use bigger data sets in those teams. So it really suited the work that we were doing. And we managed to halve our close down time. We were taking about 4 days working in Excel to close. And we halved that to 2 days. And that was just because we were waiting for data from other teams. What we were doing was really quick. And then we could spend a lot more time on reviewing data and data quality. So it freed up time to do some of the more value added work, start to look at our reporting and how we share our information. So it really added value to the teams for us back then. And then we started to look at sharing the skill wider, and we thought there must be the other teams are possibly doing similar work to us, using big data sets, using manual processes in Excel. Perhaps we can share this skill with our colleagues. So we developed our own in-house training program, because we didn't want the other teams to be reliant on us as the experts. We wanted to share our knowledge and make sure people were comfortable in using the program themselves. So we set up this training program. Like I said, we use free resources, and we took different members of the department through the training, and they then went on to train members of their team. And now at Blackpool, everyone in finance, each team has a SQL process set up, more than one in some cases. So if you come to work at Blackpool, you'll definitely be using SQL if you're in one of our teams. And then since then, obviously, we've had an innovation published. We've joined this network as educators, which has been great to be able to share what we've been doing at Blackpool. And then it's been nice to win some awards, but one of the things I wanted to talk about that we've done since then is we've actually used SQL to combine our patient level costing data as a system. So it's just kind of a great skill to have, especially I think in the direction that we're going. We want to be data driven as an NHS. So to be able to manage data and to be able to use SQL for analysis and storing those big data sets is a really valuable thing to be able to have. So hopefully we're going to go into kind of some of the detail of how you can use it in specific processes, but hopefully after this session you'll be quite keen to get started. So
okay, so some things you need to know about SQL. It's a Microsoft product, the same as Excel, so there is some familiarity with it. So familiar language, familiar icons. This is just taken from spreadsheet, but in Excel, where you've got spreadsheets, in SQL they're databases. In Excel you've got tabs, in SQL tables, so they're not completely different. A sum is a sum in both. Count, concatenate is shorter in SQL, more efficient like that. Find and replace, just replace. VLOOKUP is a join, because you join into another table, which you're still doing in a VLOOKUP. And if is aware in SQL. So there's similarities between them. Sort, order, they're not too different. And also the icons, So shout out if you know what these two icons are. Not you, Samir and Mike. Anyone else shout out what they are?
Open and save.
Yep. Have a guess what they are in SQL.
Open and save.
Yay! And the home bar, the taskbar, looks like this in Excel and looks pretty much the same in SQL. So there is a lot of similarity between the two. And if you're already writing formulas in Excel, then you're halfway there to writing them in SQL. Like if I said to you equals VLOOKUP, open bracket, A2, comma, you'd know what I was saying, most of you. You've probably done that a million times writing a VLOOKUP. It's not common language that you hear down the park, in the park, wherever. You don't talk about that normally over your tea, but you'll understand what I'm saying. And so if you can learn to write things like that, then you can easily pick up anything that you need to write in SQL. I think it's more straightforward in SQL. It makes more sense, I think, than a VLOOKUP. You're saying, where is this, if that? Bit more of a common language. So now I'll move on and show you a bit of SQL. Now, some of you might not have seen it before. It's all right. If you weren't muted, I'm sure I did a few screams. That was my reaction when I first saw it. When Loie came to Blackpool and started using SQL, she was doing a task that took me an hour in 10 minutes. And so naturally, always wanting to be more efficient, lazy, whichever you want to call it. I'm like, what's that? I had to look at it, and my first reaction was, no, not doing that, not for me. I don't know what's going on there. And especially even when you look at a script, it's like, what's that? No, don't understand it. But we'll get to it. Don't be put off by the fact that it's grey and it's not green like your usual Excel. So like I said before, we've got databases in SQL rather than spreadsheets. So I'll open up the databases, and this is our list of databases, like you'd see a list of Excel spreadsheets. And then we go into a database. These are like having the tabs that you'd have along the bottom of a spreadsheet. We've got down the side, we've got tables. And so if I opened up one of these tables, which is this one here, it opens it up, and this top part here is a piece of script. And script is what you use to tell SQL what you want to do instead of clicking clicking into the spreadsheet. And this is the data in that table, and this is showing us what's in there. Now, unlike Excel, you can't click in and change anything. You can't type into anything. If you wanted to change anything here, you'd have to write a piece of script. So this is just saying at the top here, this piece of script is saying select the top 1000. So that's 1000 rows, and this is giving you all the column names. And it's saying select all these columns from this table. If you wanted to, you could just select your IDs. You can change it to pick what you want from the table, but you can't. Oh, hold on. Undo. Getting trigger happy with the delete there. You can just select items. So it removes the risk, a lot of risk that you have with Excel when somebody goes into your Excel files and starts tinkering around, clicking here and accidentally overtyping things, dragging formulas down, or overwriting a formula by dragging something down. If they wanted to change something in here, they'd have to sit and write it. So it's pretty hard to accidentally change things in it, in the table once you've got it in there. But thought I'd go through a task so that you can see how you could use SQL. So I'll switch back to something familiar, Excel. So a typical month-end task where you're looking at the staffing post list, so people in management accounts. I'm pretty sure all of you have done this. You'll have your staffing post list. You'll look who's working in your department, and then you'll check it to your ledger, see what's in there. Are they sitting in the right place? Yes, they are. No, they're not. Chances are there's going to be people that are not, and you're going to have to do a journal to move them to where they're supposed to go. And depending on how you do it, some people would just do a VLOOKUP to look at the ledger. You might do it manually, line by line. But I can pretty much guarantee you that doing it in SQL would be faster, because you will have to manually take the information from the ledger, copy and paste it into the journal template. But if you had it in Excel, you can import your data. So this was the same data in here as what's in that SQL there. Sorry, this staffing post list, and then we've got the ledger. So you can import into SQL. So this is only a small table, but you could have your entire staffing post list for your whole trust, instead of just your area. So you can use SQL for removing duplication. If everyone's doing the same thing, you're all looking at different staffing post lists, but all looking at the ledger, see where they're moving to, see where they're sat, and then move into them. You could just do it in one go with SQL, and import your ledger into it. This is where you'd have a script. Now this, you open up a script that's you save, and it's like having a process note and the action all in one. So this is a little bit of what it's doing. So this is saying update this table. So we've told what table to update, and these are the column names. So we're saying these 4 columns: payroll cost center, subjective, position number, payroll name. We want to populate those with information from another table. So we want to look at the ledger. So we're saying, right, take the staffing post list, have a look at the ledger, and bring through the cost center of where these people are. And it's saying, look at the employee ID. So this is like the VLOOKUP. Look at the employee ID, and then it's saying certain information. So where we had active staff, because you can keep your staff and post list going from the day dot. And this is doing the same thing again, just looking at it different ways, and then it's creating it all to put it into a journal that will come out looking like this. And the good thing with this is, because it's one process, it's giving it standardization, because you're setting the information out in the same way. So often when people do journals, one person will set it out one way, another person will do it another way, unless your organization's really strict on naming conventions. And I don't know about other people's systems, but for ours, we use Oracle NEP. And often when we do journals, we stick the information in the line description. And it's quite, not difficult, but it's time consuming to put it into the flex fields, which gives it the same format as when we was our ESR original payroll journal that goes in. So it's mirroring that, so that rather than having to look at an attribute field where names and employee IDs are going into, it's just looking them together in the line description. So then you're having to look in different ways to do any analysis. this standardizes your analysis, because then it's all going in the same way. Your ESR journal goes in one way and your journals go in the same way. So it's really easy to see someone coming in, going out, and then where they've gone to further on in the ledger. And so as we know, it can take a while in Excel to do these things. In SQL, to do all of that, to look at those staff, look at the ledger and create a journal and tell you which ones are in the wrong place, it is as fast as that. That's it, done. I just hit the F5 button. And so what we've got here now is a list of the staff that were sat in the wrong place, and it's saying review these ones. So it gives you all the information for you to look at. It's telling you where they should be, and then where they're currently sat, and giving you all the information you need. And then it's also created the journal for you to move them. There might be some reasons why you wouldn't want to move them, but it's a lot easier to delete them out of this than it would be to create the journal manually. So that's just one example of something SQL can do. Has anyone got any questions on that? No? Okie doke.
They're all spellbound. Everyone's
I'm assuming
spellbound.
you're all as shocked as I was when I first saw SQL, and it's like, no, now I could not do without it. I've been in the NHS nearly 20 years, and I only learnt this 5 years ago, and I'm so wish I had this skill early on in my career. It would have made everything so much easier.
How much time do you think you've saved, Shakira, from just that example? Then the speed it came back was
it took less than seconds. It didn't even come up, did it? It was not.
We've stopped counting now as a department, I think, haven't we? We got to kind of 200 hours a month, and we said we kind of stopped there, didn't we? And it's just grown and grown. So, but yeah, the best bit is being able to do the value added side of things now and having more time to kind of review and be more thorough with data. And yeah, that's really helped us. Yeah.
So got a few other examples of what else you could use SQL for. So we're in costing team. And we use it for SLR. You can get systems to do it for you, but often with those systems, you've got to have everything the same. Well, for ours anyway, you've got to have everything the same to be able to do it in the costing system and the income system. But we've used SLR to do it for us. We've used SQL, sorry, to do SLR for us. Data processing, we use a lot of large data sets. And there's just no way Excel would cope with it. I'm not saying Excel's great. I love Excel, but for when you're dealing with millions of rows, it just can't handle it. So SQL's better for that. Forecasting, we've developed a process for creating forecasting. That brings in variables. You can write in your own rules for standard deviation, amongst other things, to create meaningful forecasts. Mapping. So in costing, I have to take the general ledger and map it to the NHSE costing ledger. And this, Jason, is something I can give you on times on. It used to take me 2 weeks to do this in Excel, and I thought I was being quite efficient using VLOOKUPs and things and that to do it. And then I put it into SQL, and it now takes me a couple of days, which is still a long time, but from 2 weeks to 2 days is quite good. Now I've got pretty much all of it automated, and it's just reviewing that, what it's given me, and then there'll be a few new things, as there always is, where I'll have to create a new mapping for, and that's the bit that takes the time. But most of the bulk of the work is done by SQL. And as you saw, things, that was just one example of pay you could do. We've set up other processes, like bench where all our bench goes to one cost centre, and then finance are given a file from the HR team to say where they've worked, and so then it's moving them to where they've actually worked in a journal to move them. So we've got a process for that. There's so many things you can use it for, and journals, like I said before, standardization. You can set it how you want it to look in the ledger, so you're making sure you're capturing all the information, because there's often, like, you can set naming conventions in your organization, but you can't always get everyone to follow them. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to using SQL.
Definitely, can absolutely see that.
Yeah.
We have got a couple of questions actually.
Okay, take questions.
Yeah, so Nadia said, how did you learn how to do SQL?
So I learned from Lowy, and I started off small because, like I said, I was just like at it. And it started with Lowy had already written the process, and I'd import the table into SQL, press the button to run it, and export the data afterwards. And then we'd use that for back when we was in income. So we'd use that to put into our income system. And then as I got more confident doing that, and then we'd have to make changes because NHSE had changed the way they wanted their reports to come out at the other end. So it meant we'd have to change something in SQL. And I think it was because Lowy had moved over into costing then. She was still in Blackpool, but she was in a different team. So I was like, oh, I have to change this myself. So I had to learn how to change it and do little tweaks to it. So then it was just all little changes. Oh, that's okay, I can do that. And I just built up from there. So it was small things. And then once I got more confident doing changes, then I started writing my own scripts. It was, oh, well, if I can do that, if I can use SQL for putting that information in and getting that out at the end, I could apply it for this process. Then I took a process of my own and put that into SQL, and I've just built it up from there. And Google helps when Lowy's not around to ask. So I Google a lot. SQL, Stack Overflow, and W3 Schools, they're really good channels to. And there's a lot of forums. There's so many other people out there with a lot more skill than I have. But yeah, you can always find it out there. And hopefully with this channel, with the network, if there's something you don't know on there, ask a question, because the chances are somebody else will have asked that question before or is thinking the same as you. How do I do that? So if you can ask that question, don't be shy. Put it on there, and somebody will give you the answer on there. So yeah, that's how I've learned, and I'm still learning. I'm still Googling. I'm still doing things. I think I'm all right with Excel, and then I watch Mike and Samir, and it's like, whoa, I need to get on their course.
And I think, it's really interesting to hear that. And I think just thinking of the website again, I think the idea is that we'll have links to YouTube videos and certain examples of things relevant to each software on there. So I think that will be, I suppose, from your own experience, you'll be able to think of things that are perhaps most useful to people to get them going with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't think of everything, and that's where Google can help. But we can certainly put some things on there, can't we, for people? Yeah.
So I'll jump a bit. On our SQL channel, we've got it's pretty simple. We only really use posts and files. The posts for, like I said, putting questions on and sharing things, and the files is where we've got there's the course video on there which kind of walks you through what you need to do. So the possible is the first video to watch, which you're already part of now, but there might be somebody in your office you want to share this with, and you can go and show them a recording on there. And then the next thing to do is the basics. There's a video on there which we did before we did live. We've recorded that. If you watch that one, and then at the end of that, we'll give you an assignment. Now, it's not massive. It's don't worry. It's like, oh god, don't panic about it. It's just something to get you using SQL, because I think the best way to learn is to actually do it. You can watch all of these videos, but until you're actually doing it, it doesn't really sink in. So we've given you a little assignment to do, and we're here to help you. So if you've got any questions, come and ask us about it. And then the third video to watch is the problems, where we talk about some of the issues you might have faced with the assignment, and talk about those, and just some more things about SQL, just to build on what you've already learned. And yeah, final part of the course is just use your new skills and keep sharing on our channel, and that's it.
I think that's good advice. You know, practice makes perfect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, very good, very good. Another quick question from Wendy. Do you have to manually type in those lines of script, or does it happen as you import the data? I'm a bit lost, as it's the first time I've seen SQL. Think I need a dummies guide. Looks brilliant. No, I think there is a dummies guide for SQL, isn't there? I'm sure
probably.
I've seen one. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote that, but the good thing about this is once you've written it once, you just copy and paste and tweak it. And so you're not rewriting everything again. And once you've got a page script, one-page scripts, like this is, you can transfer it to something else, and you're just tweaking it then, just making updates, just pointing it to a different table to look at, or just putting different filters on. The first time you write something, it might seem a bit strange, but once you get used to it, and like now I'm writing scripts for processes, and I'm like, you know what, I've done that in something else, and I can't remember how to do something, so I'll just open up old scripts. That's it, get it from there. Temporary table, or like this pat index, I never remember how to write this off the top of my head. I just go back into another script and copy it from there. Things like that. So you don't have to remember everything. The good thing about scripts is that you save them and that they're there, so they act as your memory, because mine's bobbins. So yeah, you do have to write a little bit, but once you get used to it, and you can copy and paste, like I said. Yeah, hope that answered.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for that. Another question: how do you get your data out of Oracle into SQL?
So we have to export the report from Oracle and import it into SQL. I'm sure there's got to be a way of zapping it and not of linking to it, but I think because we're on the cloud, we've not found a way yet. If anybody does, please tell me.
I think some of our technical team have set up automated imports, so it grabs from a data, like a file path, and it will input, what do they call it? Stored procedure, that kind of thing. So it is possible to do that. And we started out though, didn't we, doing it manually, so exporting the data and manually importing, but it doesn't really take that long to do it that way. But yeah, some of our other team have started to look at how do we even automate that, so we don't have to manually upload data to SQL as well.
I'll show you importing into SQL. So it gives you go task, what do I want to do? So I want to import data, and it usually remembers the last place you've looked at. It brings up a wizard. So I'll say what I wanted to pick from. So I want an Excel file, and then I'll just pick a location. So like for this one, I pick workshop task. If I wanted to import, and it automatically finds the version of Excel that you need. And then I'm saying I want to put it into SQL. And then just brings up the server name and database that I wanted to go into, so I can just check that I'm going into the right place. And I just want to copy from one of the tables. and then I can pick which one. So I can pick my staffing post list, and then it will put it into either a new table, or I can pick from a table that I want it to go into. I can scroll down and pick that table, and then this will bring it up, and it will find. So these are all this source is all your columns that are in Excel, and then this is the destination, all your columns in SQL. And you can change those if you want. You don't want other to go into other. You could stick it somewhere else if you wanted to. And you just OK through, and just keep clicking next and finish, and it will. I'll try and import it. We'll see whether it works or not. Little live telly error. Oh, it worked. Yay. So it's as quick as that. So just to import your file. Obviously, if you've got millions of rows, it's going to take slightly longer than that, but whichever way, I'm sure it's far faster than trying to manage millions of rows than in Excel. Oh yeah, definitely. That's how we get it in.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Another question from Samuel. Are there instructions about getting up the Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio anywhere?
We haven't got anything on the channel.
Is this about getting it installed? Or?
Yeah,
because I think, well, when we first started using SQL, we were quite lucky. Our IT team and informatics team were quite supportive, and they kind of helped us get it all set up. And they gave us a test environment to work in, so we knew we had a safe database for people to try all different pieces of script. So I think it's worth kind of looking at doing it that way if you can. But we do have the innovation server as well, don't we? So there is a training server that we can give you access to. So whether we do we might do a document.
I think that's in the videos.
Is it in the videos?
Yeah.
So if you watch the videos, it'll explain there then. But yeah, we if you reach out to your IT team, if you're having any trouble, get in touch with us. But there is also the innovation server for you to work on as well.
Yeah.
But that, just to say, that is a training server, so that's not for kind of setting up processes. So we wouldn't want any PID or confidential information on there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chloe.
Okay.
Any other final questions or thoughts for Chloe and Shakira? No? Okay. Thank you both.